welcome to Hamishs Wacky Hour. I was just having a good laugh with Colin Phil. Not Phil here, Colin here. Oh man, we're just talking about funny stories. I can see him doing the Highland dance. Anybody who's listening to that show will know what I'm talking about. Oh boy. Got the gills today. So we'll be talking about some new Super Mario news. Well, actually, this will be a Super Mario themed show. Due to the upcoming game Super Mario Odyssey coming out on the Switch, coming this Friday, which everybody's really excited for. So we'll be going over some news for that. Have some questions from Facebook, like a Q&A, and a bunch of other stuff. But for now, we will head straight into a song. This is the Warp Zone theme from Mario Bros. 3. And it is a remix by Mez Onum. I think that's what his name is. It's very nice. Here we go. Welcome back. Wasn't that nice, folks? Wasn't that a pretty good tune? You don't often hear remixes of that one from Mario, but I quite like the Warp Zone. Anyway, Odyssey. Let's get to Mario Odyssey. That comes out really soon. In fact, Friday it comes out. Sadly, it's already been leaked. Somebody got a game early, it broke the street date, and now people are spoiling it. Luckily for us, though, I'm going to keep my lips shut. I have seen some things I probably shouldn't have seen, and I didn't do it intentionally. I've only really seen thumbnails on YouTube and stuff like that. But don't worry, you won't hear a peep from me. If you want, and if you don't mind spoilers, go and look up them online. It's up to you. But I'm getting a bit annoyed with all the news that has been leaked of the game. It's not very. I don't think it's very smart of them to do that. And thanks to that, Nintendo are no longer sending out review copies of these games, just because of the amount of stuff that's been happening. Apparently, the new Mario and Luigi remake actually got the whole game got leaked online, as in people could just download it and emulate it, and that's not cool. That's people shouldn't do that, but they did it, and now nobody's getting a review copy. Some people have just ruined it for everybody else that wanted to get a review. However, Edge magazine have done a review of the game, so I'm assuming they did get a review copy, and they gave it a 10 out of 10, solid 10 out of 10, and that gives me a lot of hope for the game. I don't think Edge are really known for just throwing 10 out of 10s out there. Granted, they do quite like Nintendo games, like, you know, like just the general Mario and Zelda. They'll usually give like a 10 out of 10 to them. But yeah, I mean, I've never looked forward to a Mario game this much since ever. I don't think. Galaxy 2 I loved, but this seems to be on a whole nother level of that. So yeah, let's get into some other news, shall we, about Mario. So I want to talk about like what were like some of the games in Mario's history and stuff. But I did kind of want to talk about Mario's downfalls. See you later, Colin. I did want to talk a little bit about Mario's sort of downfalls within the years, because I wanted to go through that first before we go for the best Mario games. Just because it was sort of have a look back on some of the more embarrassing stuff in the Mario history. Um, the most notorious one, I believe, like the animation just looks really, the quality looks bad, the voice acting is bad, everything about the game is pretty bad. The music is really like grainy. I mean, like the quotes are so, like, the voice acting is so bad that it's become like people just quote it because it's so funny. It's like, "Nice of the princess to invite you over for a picnic, eh, Luigi?" And it's like, oh god, that doesn't sound like Mario. Yeah, not a good game. Granted, I can't actually say I've played Hotel Mario because it was on a console that wasn't on Nintendo. It was sort of just licensed off to some other company to make, which is probably why it turned out the way it did. That being said, there are some other bad Mario games. Mario's Time Machine sounds like a really cool concept, and it's really not in the actual game. It's an education game, and I feel like they could have done so much more with that. Like that concept of Mario time traveling, like you could have seen so much cool stuff, but it's like, let's just learn about stuff, I guess. I mean, and it's boring, you know. Like it's not even like you can make learning interesting, but they don't do it. And I don't even think they really had the proper technology to do it at the time. But another bad Mario game I would have to say is Mario is Missing. So Mario is Missing is actually a game where it stars Luigi as the main role and not Mario. You have to find Mario as Luigi and save him from Bowser. But again, it's another educational game. And I don't think anybody cares about those games in the Mario. Like, that's a cool concept, Mario, like Luigi going to save Mario, but it's an educational game, and it's a missed opportunity. So yeah, that's what I think about that. And I do think, what was the other bad Mario game I had in mind? I mean, those were probably the worst of the worst, unless you count Early Days, which is not other educational. But then again, you expect that to be educational. Mario's Teacher's Typing was, I mean, it's a typing game. It's not really much more to it than that. I guess if you want to get controversial, kinda, the newest Paper Mario games aren't considered the best. I mean, to be honest, I don't hate them. I actually think they're not too bad, but I would say I really want another Paper Mario game in the style of the old ones. They've kind of really derivated it from having interesting plots and stories to, hey, let's just make it out of materials and have that the main gimmick. Like, we don't need another gimmick from Paper Mario. It's already paper. So yeah, I would say that, like that. And I would say that I don't think these games are bad. I actually think they're really good. But the new Super Mario Bros. Series got really stale after the second game. They did not need to make more than two, in my opinion. And like I said, they were good games, but it's annoying seeing them all the time. You know, like I don't want to see another new Super Mario Bros. Game. Not on the Switch. Like I'd rather have another 2D Mario game that's a bit more different from them. that being said, I think that's mostly what I can think of in terms of games. Mario over 30 years has had a really strong lineup of games. I probably missed one that's bad. And believe me, it wasn't intentional. I'm trying to point out all of them. I will say though, Mario, like in terms of other media, has been a bit hit and miss. Like the cartoons, although are a huge guilty pleasure of mine, they're not the most amazing cartoons out there. And the movie, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on that movie. It's awful. It's awful. The only good part about that movie is Dennis Hopper is playing Mario. No, not Dennis Hopper. Bob Hoskins, that was it. Dennis Hopper actually plays Koopa, which probably not the best role for him. But yeah, don't watch that movie. In fact, I kind of hope they make like maybe not another Mario movie, but like a Mario short film, just to prove that Mario can kind of work in the sort of cartoon film space, because they actually did that with the new Odyssey advert that's been going around on TV and stuff. You can see Mario, like CGI Mario dancing in the street with all the real folk, and it looks actually really good. Like it looks like it could be straight out of a Pixar film. I love the music that goes with it and everything. It's so good. But yeah, that's what I have to say for now. Tune in after the break, and I'll be reading your questions that you had for me on Facebook, and hopefully you're enjoying this. But this is a Mario Brothers Electro Swing remix by Jamie Berry. Hope you enjoy, everybody.
Here we go.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Hamishs' Wacky Hour. So I said last time, before we cut to that lovely little rendition of the Mario Brothers theme, that I would be reading out your questions on Facebook. And the first one we have is actually from Pete Adamson, who I believe is also on Sam Radio. He actually went to Project Search for him. He says, I asked them what their favourite Mario game was and what their favourite character was, or memory, like either or. And he says, the first time I saw Mario 64, it was at a mate's house. Totally blew me away. And the first thing I did every time I went to hers was play her N64 and Super Mario 64. Wanted one so much, but I didn't get one for ages. Right up until I got a PS2 for Christmas in about 2001, I traded my PS2 for an N64. Oh man, I mean, like, I to be honest, I played a lot of my PS1 games on my PS2, because I was born in like 1996, so I was sort of at the end of that generation, of like consoles. And I do remember like, seeing my friends play PS1, and I did like that. But the N64 with the like Mario and stuff, like always blew me away. Mario 64 was the Mario game that got me into Mario. My first actual Mario game was Mario Party, believe it or not, on the original N64, and I do quite like that game. But I never saw the appeal of like the series Mario until 64. But yeah, thank you for sharing that, Pete. I do like that. You were blown away from the game as much as I was. I remember seeing Mario fly up across the sky, and I could control them in like all directions and stuff. And I was amazed. I was like, "Whoa! I could fly in this game. I've never flown in any game before." It made me feel like I was actually there. And I know that might sound dumb today, because a lot of kids who are only growing up with like Sunshine or Galaxy, they're like, "Wow, man, this game looks really dated and the camera's really wonky." But you know what? Screw that. You know, like the game. I think the game is still good, despite its flaws and its age. I think you can still play it and enjoy the game for what it's worth. And do you know what? It's a good speedrunning game as well. I enjoy speeding through the game because of Mario's movement options. He can just dive and long jump and everything like that. Mario's lacked that for a while, and I'm glad Odyssey is bringing that back. This is Paul Colony, a friend I went to college with. He says Mario is a dear game to all. For many millennials, is it millennials? I think that's millennials. Sorry, I'm off for reading. We'll never understand how true it has been to our hearts. I can admit that I'm not the biggest Mario fanatic. I first played the original Mario Brothers on the Game Boy, but my first console Mario and my favourite was Mario Super Strikers. I don't enjoy football an awful lot, but the game was amazing. It added a lot of character to the actual characters themselves. And he's asking me what my opinion on the game was. Now, I did actually give my opinion when I was talking to him on Facebook, but I guess I'll restate it for everyone on this show. I do not like football at all. Like, I'm sorry. I know people are into football, but I think I just get oversaturated with it, and I'm one of those people that's like, I don't really like the popular thing. But Super Strikers, which is a Mario football game, if you couldn't tell, actually, like, he's right, it does add a lot of character to the already pretty colourful cast of Mario, and it's just so different enough that anybody can really enjoy it without actually having to enjoy football. That's what I like about a lot of the Mario spin-offs. They bring something to the table that means, like, even something like golf, Mario Golf, which I find to be on, like, I think golf in itself is a little bit boring, I'm sorry, but I think Mario Golf is pretty fun. I think it's a fun time. Same with tennis. I'm not a huge fan, it's coming out that I'm not a huge fan of sports in general, but I love Mario Tennis. I like a lot of those spin-off games, and I know it's an odd choice to put Super Strikers as a favourite, because it's not really everybody's favourite. But I'm glad that we have a unique choice on here. Thank you for commenting that. So this is Kieran Morton, Rosa's boyfriend. You might know Rosa, that she was on the show a couple of times. He's actually more of a Sonic fan than he is a Mario fan. But yeah, he says his first game, and the only game, one of the only Mario games he's ever owned, was Mario 64. He says functioned all fine and well, but I never finished the game. Stepping into the first Bowser fight absolutely terrified me, so I just about shut the game off and left it there. Oh man, yeah, that I think what he was meaning was like the fight. Well, not even just the fight itself. I think it was when the painting changed. Because when you're running down the hall, getting ready to jump into the painting, it changes from Peach's face to Bowser's face, and I could see why that would be pretty scary to a youngling. I do remember playing Mario 64 as a kid, and I did have this uneasy feeling that that Bowser was going to come up at some point and try and eat me. It was really weird. It's an odd thing. It's because I remember seeing the front cover of the game and being like, oh hey, that giant monster thing is going to come and eat me. But yeah, so I'll read more questions. We do have actually quite a lot of questions today, which is good. But we'll head to another song since we're running quite long here. So this is the actual the castle theme of Mario 64. It's a remix done by I think it's QMU. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm sorry. All of these artists have really weird names. I apologize. But yes, here we go. Inside the castle walls.
Rocking your radio. This is Sam Radio.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Hamishs' Wacky Hour. So we'll continue on with the questions. This is Jack Bond has a question. He's been on the show a couple of times as well. You'll probably hear a couple of familiar people that have been on here a lot. But he says, favourite game is Galaxy, character is Yoshi, and his favourite memory is somebody in his class getting super mad at him in New Super Mario Brothers, and them chucking their DS at them and then missing, and then their DS picking. Oh, it's typical, typical Jack, always finding it. I mean, to be fair, that is really funny. And people should stop taking their game so seriously. Honestly, it's just a game. I know I'm like really avid in Smash and stuff like that, but like at the end of the day, you know, the better player wins, and sometimes you just gotta let go. And by let go, I don't mean let go of your 3DS into somebody's head or a wall. Oh boy, that was a good one. Thanks for that, Jack. Anyway, we actually have one from David Bailey, who has been on the show. He was a sort of a second host until he had to go to Project Search. And then sadly we do not have him here anymore, but he wanted to comment on this one. He says his favourite game is Super Mario Galaxy. He says it's mainly due to the creative worlds, concept and stellar soundtrack, as well as it being a huge part of his entry into video games. As it stands, it's his second favourite game ever made, and his favourite character is either between Bowser, Wario or Waluigi, and on the hero side he likes Luigi. And his favourite memory, he says, is a tricky one, but he'll probably go for the joyful afternoons he spent playing Galaxy and its sequel, and loving every second of it. Heck, he says he could even go for hours on the subject, but he says he'll spare my ears. Well, isn't that lovely? Galaxy is a phenomenal game, in my opinion. It's probably my favourite game of all time. At least one of them, for sure. Mario Galaxy is such... It blew me away when I first played it as a kid. It's hard to believe that game is almost 10 years... It turns 10 this year, and it does not look it. Even for a Wii game, it still looks pretty phenomenal, I must say so myself. And it's just such a magical game. I was, to be honest, I wasn't really hyped about it when it was coming out. I wasn't, because I was more looking forward to the new Smash Brothers that was on the horizon. But that, when I played Mario Galaxy, it was just, there was something magical about it. You know, like you could feel the magic flowing through, like you were going through space and you were going to these different planets, and there was this, it just had this wonderful feeling to it. That still sticks with me about the Mario series today. I mean, it's one of those, like Mario. It just proves that Mario is one of those games that has that magical, like that magicness to it, you know. Even some of the lesser titles, like what some people consider Sunshine, that still has some magic to it. And I do love Galaxy. Like he said, beautiful soundtrack as well. I've listened to a lot of those tracks for God knows how many times, and I still love the soundtrack. It's like the game is just beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful Mario games ever made, I must say. Even to this day, 10 years later, I'd still say it's one of the best games, period. But thank you for commenting on that, David. I got one from Dean, who is a good friend of mine. I often play Smash with him. He says favorite game Super Mario Galaxy, seems to be a common favorite. Favorite character Luigi, interesting. Memory, finally being better than Hamish at something, Mario Kart DS. Yeah, admittedly I'm not the best Mario Kart player. Dean seems to be really good at Mario Kart, but yeah, I mean, it always seems to be a competition with me and him. It's one of us is either really good at Smash Brothers and the other one's either good at Mario Kart, and I seem to be the one that's good at Smash and he's the one that's good at Mario Kart. Thank you for that, Dean. I see a lot of Luigis on here, actually. A lot of people really like Luigi. I do love Luigi. He's a good character. I think he's definitely, I could definitely see why people like him and pick him as a favourite. He's the underdog, but he's definitely a cool character. Ewan Russell, another good friend from school, commented on here. His one's quite a long one, but I do quite like it when people give me some detailed answers to these questions. He says, I generally prefer the older Mario games to the modern ones. Sure, they're not nearly as beautiful in terms of graphics or music, but the level design is outstanding and they are a lot more challenging, which is very important to me. I felt really great when I first beat Super Mario Bros. 3 because of how hard it was. That said, however, Super Mario Galaxy is my favourite game. I think making the main game relatively easy easy, but the post game really hard is the right way to go about things to entertain both new and the experienced players. Super Mario Galaxy did this perfectly. I remember buzzing with joy when I finally beat the perfect run after weeks of trying. Oof, I know that feeling. I think Super Mario Galaxy 1 is great too, but better presented with the observatory, which is the main hub world, but it really does suffer from ease. Even getting all the 120 stars is pretty easy. Odyssey has the potential to be a brilliant game, but please Nintendo, give us experienced players a challenge. After Galaxy 2, Super Mario Bros. 3 is my second favourite Mario game in the series, followed by World, then Super Mario Bros. 1, and then Mario 64. Sorry for my mini SE. Great work on your show on Sam Radio, and enjoy Odyssey. I'll hopefully pick up myself when I get a Switch. Well, thank you for that, Ewan. I'm glad you had such a long answer for me. Actually, that gives me a lot more to work with on the show, other than just being like, "Oh, it's the Mario." Like, you actually gave me something to work off of. That being said, I do actually appreciate everybody answering, even if it's just a little bit. But yeah, although I'm not like the biggest fanatic on challenge, like I could take it or leave it, to be honest. I do like challenging Mario games, but like it's not what I play Mario for. I can definitely see where you're coming from. I do think I do kind of like how the old Mario games had that challenge to them, like Super Mario Bros. 3 and like even Lost Levels had some fun bits in it, just because it's like it had that challenge to it and it felt rewarding. And I will admit, Mario Galaxy was a pretty easy game. It was pretty easy. Even as a kid, I never beat games quick as a kid, but I actually 100% in Galaxy as a kid. I remember actually beating the game on New Year after I got it for Christmas as well. Something I'm never going to forget. But I actually do think you're right about Mario Galaxy 2. I'm glad they had like sort of the harder stuff after the game, so it keeps it like sort of keeps that challenge for people that want to actually play the game and have a challenge. But if any kids didn't want to play the game, if little kids just wanted to get to the end and see the ending and everything, that's just up to them. They can do that, and it's not too difficult for them. Thank you for that, and I'll make sure to let you know if Odyssey is a challenging game when I get it. Granted, it doesn't look to be the most challenging game, but I do like how they've redone the life system. If anybody doesn't know, there's no lives in Odyssey. You actually lose coins when you die in the game, which is actually good because it's currency in the game now. It's not just something you pick up and you get an extra life. I actually prefer that way more. Here's another one from a friend from college, Ismail. So his one says, he says that I'm probably the older one on this list. That's why my favourite will always be Super Mario Land 2 on the Game Boy, just because I played hours and hours and kept 2 copies of the game, just in case. And he put a second comment, which I feel I should read. As for favourite character, it can't be anyone other than Wario. The Wario Land trilogy on the Game Boy is really good, and on the second one they nailed their own style of gameplay for the character, with the transformations and puzzles and the platforming gameplay. Simply awesome. We need more Wario Land. Wario Odyssey. Wario, I should say. I do actually like Super Mario Land 2. It's a great game, and it did a lot of new things for the series. I do love that it's, instead of just going for the simple, we'll add levels to Mario Land, to the original, they've actually redone everything. Mario looks better, the game looks better, it sounds better in my opinion, and it has like a plot and everything. Granted, it's not a deep plot because it's a Game Boy game, but it's a plot. And I like that, like he says, it's the game that introduced Wario. Wario is, he's such a weird character, but I love him. He's so, I feel like the Mario series wouldn't be the same, especially the spin-offs and everything, wouldn't be the same without Wario and Waluigi to an extent. I think they're really good characters, and I do like the spin-offs that Wario gets as well. I remember Wario Shake Dimension, and the WarioWare games are pretty fun as well. And I remember playing Wario Land 4 in the GBA as a kid, and I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I do. I have to say that Mario Land 2, although not my favourite Mario game, it's probably my favourite handheld Mario game actually, and that includes 3D Land. 3D Land I did like, but 2D, Mario Land 2, I feel like it had a bit more uniqueness to it. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Thank you for commenting. This is Robert William Carr, again, another friend from college. I'm going to be honest here and say that throughout my entire life, the Mario games have been there for me. And the fact that although in my life I grew up with Mario games, in my life the only one that I can really go back to is Super Mario 64, because it is a classic Mario game and I grew up with that game being a part of my life. That's I can definitely relate to that a lot. Mario 64 is probably the game I've gone back to the most, not just in the Mario series, but in general. Like, Mario 64 is so fun, and it's so easy to go back to, especially with the new mods that are coming out for it, like the Mario 64 Online mod, which I've played with friends, and it's a blast, I must say. And Mario 64 Odyssey, where they've added the Cappy into there. It's such a good game. And it's definitely something. It has so many secrets and so many hidden things in it. It's definitely a great game for many people, including myself. I love Mario 64, and I think many other people do, mainly because that's what they grew up on. But yes, we have one more question. We're finally getting to the bottom of these questions. So, Jonah, who's also been on here a couple of times, he says his favourite Mario game is Super Mario Galaxy, mainly due to the fact it was his first Mario game back in early 2008, and it got him into the franchise for its fun way of using the motion controls, extremely memorable and unique boss fights, the world itself, and of course, best Mario Princess Rosalina. Okay, yeah, I gotta agree with that. I gotta agree with everything there, especially Rosalina. I never actually talked about what some of my favourite Mario games are. Now that we're down at the questions, well, down to what I think. I mean, Mario Galaxy, I think I've said, is probably my favourite Mario game. That or 64. World is probably my favourite 2D Mario game. Mario World is an I think I play that just about every year. It's so good. But Mario 64, Mario Galaxy are the ones that I absolutely adore. They're great games, especially like Mario Galaxy 2 as well. Like I consider them in the same ballpark as Galaxy, like, and 64. As for favorite character in the Mario series, for me, I gotta say, apart from Mario, who I think probably is my favorite, I don't know why I like Mario as much as I do. I think he's the best main character in the game. But I do like Luigi. Luigi is cool. That being said, I don't think he's my favorite. I do love him though. He's a lovable little guy. But Yoshi, I remember being he was the first Mario character that caught my eye back when I played Mario Party the first time. I always thought he was such a cute little dinosaur with his little boots and everything and his big nose. I love Yoshi. I think he stuck around with everybody. It's the same rule applies to people who don't like dogs. To people who don't like Yoshi, I don't know what is wrong with you. I legitimately can't trust people that don't like dogs or Yoshi, because they're so cute. How can you be so heartless? But aside from Yoshi, I think my favorite character is Rosalina. Rosalina, I actually really love. I actually did a picture of her recently. I drew like a little witch costume for Rosalina for Halloween, and honestly, she's one of the most, like, I don't know. Like she's such a good character because you get more backstory for her in Galaxy. You know, you get to hear like what's happened with her and like more of her story. And she's so mysterious as well. Like, she's one of the more mysterious Mario characters. Like, where did she come from? What's going on here? What's this? What's that? I think she's great. She's got this really. I love her design as well. She's so pretty. People always say she looks like Elsa, but Rosalina was here first. Yeah, don't mess with Rosalina. But yeah, that's. I have some more things to say after we come back, but I will head to a song for a bit, and we'll probably be talking about more. Like, obviously, we'll be talking about more Mario stuff. Maybe go into more detail about what my favorites are. But this is a remix of Super Mario Bros. 2, and it's done by Estradisphere. I think that's how it's pronounced. Estradisphere. I think that's it. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. How are you all doing? I think we've got like another couple of songs to play after we before we head off. So I'll try and make these pretty quick. I want to talk about some underrated Mario games. Since Mario's had such a long history, a lot of the games some games do go overlooked. I do believe some of these sports games are a little bit underrated. Mainly Mario Power Tennis. I think that is a great tennis game. I remember absolutely loving that as a kid. I love how they have in the game they have an opening cutscene where Wario and Waluigi are trying to foil Mario and Luigi into losing the finals in tennis and stuff, and it just goes so bonkers. And even when you beat the game on the main campaign, you get a little it's really funny actually, you get bloopers of that cutscene, like kind of like how Pixar have bloopers of their animation films, like how Toy Story 2 had bloopers of it. I love that. I love it when they include stuff like that. It just goes the extra mile to add to that game. I mean, a lot of the Mario sports games are pretty good, I must say. I think I liked Mario Golf even. And even like I said before, I'm not into sport at all. You know, I could care less for football or golf. Basketball, I kind of like basketball, even though I'm not good at it. But I will say, no, I do like that, and I actually think maybe Mario Paint might be a bit underrated as well. I don't know. I actually think maybe that's not underrated. I think people do remember that game. I think that was like came out, but I don't think many people play it now because it's a bit dated with Photoshop and stuff coming out, and even some free software performing better in it. But it is a fun little game that has a lot of charm to it, I must say. I will say though, I do think Mario 3D World is a good game. I think a lot of people did give that a lot of flack before trying it out, and truth be told, I do agree that they should have had a proper 3D Mario game on the Wii U, rather than having sort of hybrid 2D, 3D Mario game that was more of a akin to Crash game, actually, when I think about it. But it was I still think it was an excellent game. It has a phenomenal soundtrack. It's very fun with 4 people. It's a good game. Oh, I actually forgot to say, thank you to everybody who commented on that post. Actually, I really appreciate getting fans. Well, I don't know if I'd call you fans, but friends and family talking on here. I like it when there's sort of more of a community feel to the show, especially since when, like I've said before, we're not going to be on for much longer. Next show, we're doing a Halloween themed one, which I hope you all enjoy, and then the show after that will be the last one we ever have. So I hope you guys stick around for that, and I hope you all enjoy yourself. I'm going to try and make these last shows really count, and hopefully I'll be able to get David and some other friends back on here as well. Maybe see if they can join us for a little bit before the show's demise, which sadly is pretty soon. But you'll also be able to hear my thoughts on Odyssey next week, because that'll be out by then. And although I said it was Halloween themed, we will be talking about some of the usual stuff, like the animation news and stuff like that. So yeah, sorry to take that little detour from our little Mario themed show, but I thought it would be good to just inform everybody and remind everybody about what's happening and what's going on. But yes, we were talking about underrated Mario games. Now, we don't have much time left. I think I'll maybe mention one more. I don't know if I can really think of many, to be honest. I mean, a lot of the games are pretty good. I actually would probably say, since not many people I know have actually played it, I would say Thousand Year Door, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, is a very good game. It's one of my favorite Mario games, period. And I even if you're not a huge RPG fanatic, like I'm not a huge RPG fanatic. Like I'm very precise about what I want in an RPG, to be honest. But Paper Mario Thousand Year Door definitely delivers that for me. It's such a phenomenal game. But yes. Anyway, we are going to be moving on to another song, and then after that we'll have a little more talk about things, and then we'll just end the show there. So yeah, going really high pitch, haven't I? So let's try and find this song here. I had it a minute ago, but it has escaped from me, and now I need to try and get it back again. Oh, there it is. So this is, I've had this one on the show a couple of times, but I think it's a pretty good one. This is Rosalina's Comet Observatory, and it's done by Insane in the Rain Music. So here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final stretch of Hamish's Wacky Hour, I should say. So, I wanted to talk about, for this last little bit, what I want from Mario in the future. And by that, I mean what I think the series should become and what it should do. Now, Odyssey has taken a pretty big leap and taken Mario into a new direction. It's like quite a bit off from what he's usually on, but they've kept what works, which I like. They've kept everything that sort of works in that series. That being said, I think I want some of these things to be the status quo now. I would love for Mario games to have sort of that different costume option there. Like in Odyssey, you can go into so many different costumes and outfits. I would absolutely love that if they have those options in more Mario games, including the 2D ones. I noted they got rid of the life system earlier on. I would actually prefer that change to be permanent. I don't think they need a life system for Mario anymore. Look at so many games out nowadays. They don't have a life system because it's pretty pointless now. And I think the way they've done it is where you lose currency when you die. I think that's actually one of the best ways to sort of punish the player without wasting their time. It's a great. I think that's a better incentive than losing a life, which you probably would already have like 9,000 of. And what other things, not even including the games, would have to be. I remember when Miyamoto made those short films for Pikmin on the Wii U and the 3DS. Like they looked like Pixar short films as well. I would love to see the same for Mario, because people always make the excuse, but Mario doesn't like have that much dialogue or anything. But they don't need it. To be fair, like in Pikmin, they have no dialogue whatsoever, and they still managed to make 3 pretty good shorts out of those. And I would love to see the same go to Mario. I think Mario is such a big gaming character, big gaming icon, that they could definitely pull it off in some way. I mean, look at the advert that's been on TV, if you've been watching TV, that is, or if you've seen it on YouTube. They have Mario dancing in the street, and it's brilliant. You know, it's a great advert. You know, every time I'm watching TV and I'm like browsing for my phone when the adverts are on, every time the advert comes up, my ears sort of just prick up like a dog. I'm looking at the TV and I'm like, oh wow, there's the advert again. So yeah, I would love to see more from Mario, like in general. Like I'd love to see maybe even like a possible cartoon series. I don't know what they could do with that. Or even just like even more crossovers. You know, they did the Rabbids crossover, which I know everybody's a bit iffy about the Rabbids, and I'm not the biggest fan either, but that was a good crossover. That was actually, you know, well done. They could do more of that. You know, they could have like possibly Rayman next, maybe even Pac-Man, which have kind of crossed over sometimes. How about like some other characters? Maybe Mickey Mouse at one point. I don't know. I mean, biggest video game character with biggest cartoon character. Big icons together. That would be pretty insane. I'd love to see Disney and Nintendo sort of collaborate at one point. Not Disney buying Nintendo. That I must say, I think that Disney's got a lot of properties right now, and they don't need to buy Nintendo. Not that I think they'll ruin it, but I do think like once you buy too many things, that's when you're getting a little bit greedy. And I think Nintendo would kind of lose their touch a little bit. But I do think they should collaborate at one point on a project. Maybe Mario will be in Wreck-It Ralph 2. I would love to see that. But yeah, I think we're good for the show today. Thank you all for coming. I'll play you one last song, and this has actually been on iTunes. I'm surprised because Nintendo never uploads anything on iTunes, but who knows, maybe they'll upload the entire soundtrack to the game. But this is Jump Up Superstar for the new Mario Odyssey game, but by apparently the Super Mario players. So here we go.
Here we go, off the rails. Don't you know it's time to raise our sails? It's freedom like you never knew. Don't need bags or a pass. Say the word, I'll be there in a flash. You could say my hat is off to you. Oh, we can zoom all the way to the moon from this great me, grab coins with me, oh yeah! It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. And if the dark clouds start to swirl, don't feel them shed a tear, 'cause I'll be your one-up girl. So let's all jump up super high, high up in the sky. There's no power up like dancing. You know that you're my superstar. No one else can take me this far. I'm flipping the switch. Get ready for this song. Let's do the Odyssey. Odyssey, yes, see. 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 Odyssey, Odyssey. Spin the wheel, take a chance. Every journey starts a new romance. A new world's calling out to you. Take a turn off the path. Find a new addition to the cast. You know that any captain needs a crew. Take it in stride as you move side to side. They're just different points of view. Jump with me, grab coins with me, oh yeah! Come on and jump up in the air. Jump without a care. Jump up 'cause you know that I'll be there. And if you find you're short on joy, don't fret, just don't forget that you're still a one-up boy. So go on, straighten up your cap. Let your toes begin to tap. This rhythm is a power tune. Don't forget you're the superstar. No one else